I did that really loud because
Gene needs to hear it in Halifax.
Gene's on the way back from Halifax. She might not have heard it. So I imagine she'll say, I heard that in Peterborough or wherever she is. But welcome, everybody. What a great day. And I hope everybody got a parking spot. The CEO was complaining he didn't have a spot. I wasn't complaining. Were you not complaining? I'm sorry. I thought you were complaining.
I had a spot.
You had a spot. Okay, you got here early, got a spot. No, it's amazing. We got a great crowd today, and and I won't get too much into it because I'll steal Belinda's thunder. But we have great opportunity to have some presentations, and that's great. And hang on, I'll just get this up to that point, and then you can get at it. So I'll call the council to order. Oh, hang on. There's our press. We'll wait for our press. Okay, yeah. Sorry, Pat. Did I jump the gun a bit there? Did you hear me knock? I hit it pretty hard. That's late. Okay, Pat's here now. Good. So I'll call everything to order and disclosure any pecuniary interest or conflict of interest. Anybody got any? Seeing none. Is it Bill right here? Not yet. Moved by Deputy Mayor Faulkner, seconded by Councillor Caldwell, that the minutes of the May 22nd, 2018 council meeting be approved. All in favor? Great. Moved by Councillor Dirksen, seconded by Councillor Elliott. The Town of Minto Council convenes into the Committee of the Whole. All in favor? Carried. That's it. And additional items. I got two. You got one? That's down here for you. Judy? Busy time. Ron? Anybody not got one?
I don't think I do.
Well, Mary
Unless something isn't mentioned,
right,
then I'll
okay.
mention.
Chamber prep.
Yeah.
You'll come up with something.
Yeah.
John doesn't. John, you have one? No. Sorry, John. Good. Cute. There's no public meetings. So next up is our delegations. And I'll ask our Economic Development Manager, Belinda, to come up and help us with this. I'm in the dark here. I have no idea what's going on. It's terrible.
Only the judges know.
I know.
And Bill's going to change my slides for me.
That's
So,
right.
pardon?
No. I'm just
Okay.
agreeing.
Oh, okay. Alrighty. Well, thank you everyone for coming. It's always an exciting day to announce the results of the Pitch It Business Plan competition. So, Bill, can you change to the next slide? So just to refresh everyone's memory on what Pitch It is, this is our 7th year running this competition. And the purpose is to help grow small businesses in Minto, to attract, retain, and expand the ones that we have, and to increase awareness for business resources. As we all know, we have a lot of resources here, and sometimes people don't know they exist. So this is a great way for us to introduce people to that. So the people that could enter this competition were if you're opening a new business, you were purchasing one that existed, expanding an existing business, or relocating an existing business. Obviously, I want to thank our judges. This year we had 5 wonderful judges. A few of them are here today. So John Burgess, who's the past president of the Minto Chamber, and Rob Mattice from 88.7 The River are both here today. Rose, Harold, and Christelle couldn't be here, but they were a great part of the team, and obviously we couldn't do this without some great expertise around this. So thanks to our judges. So we'll jump right into it. Thank you to our sponsors. I want to recognize the ones that are in the room today because, again, this wouldn't be possible without our sponsors. So John Cox is here. He's the Chamber President. Summer from Launch at Minto. Wendy from RBC Royal Bank. The River's here. Glenn from Awesome. And I think Janet Juniper from Country 93 is on her way. But thanks to all of our sponsors for contributing the prizing. Alrighty, so all finalists, there's 4, will receive around $1,370 in prizing. That includes a 1-year free Chamber of Commerce membership, a half-page story in the Minto Express and Independent Plus, and a 6-month membership to SBDC, Saugeen Business Development Corporation's all-inclusive business excellence training program. So there's all kinds of resources that come along with that. So Bill? So congratulations to the Daily Grind for being our finalist. So if you want to come up at the end, we'll get photos with each person and So the daily grind is Kalina and Matt Smith, and they're new to Harrison. And they are proposing to open a family-owned and operated ice cream and coffee shop in downtown Harrison.
All right.
Yes.
Got it.
You're working on that for a while.
Everyone's very excited about this. So it would feature premium coffee and as well as pretty cool like event space where they were talking about having evening workshops and music and different things, and a great space for people to work out of. So thanks to Matt and Selena for your entry and for participating in this. Okay, so our second runner-up is going to receive the finalist package as well as an additional $660 in prizing. So on top of what I already said, they get 5 training sessions with the Guelph Wellington Business Center and 1 month of free internet service, as well as a feature of the competition and their business on Whiteman TV. So congratulations to, next, Sherry Lynn from Family Home Healthcare. So many of you are probably familiar with Sherry Lynn. She owns the Family Home Health Center in Palmerston, right downtown, and she was planning an expansion to her business, adding to the repair and service of equipment, offering the assistive device program, which was a great resource for people in the area for sure, and building up the Camisole of Hope campaign. So I will also say, I should have said this first, and the two judges, if you guys want to pipe in, it's amazing every year when we take the scores because they have like a huge long list of things that they're judging. I compile the 5 judges' scores, average them out, and tally them up. And every year it's like so surprising how close the people are. So congratulations to you all, because once again it was very tight, correct? Yeah, we discussed this for a long time. So, alrighty, next up. So our first runner-up also receives an additional $2,010 in prizing on top of the first package. So the additional stuff is 2 8-page ads in the Independent Plus, as well as an online profile on the website, 5 training sessions at the Guelph Wellington Business Center, 1 month free internet service, and feature competition and the business, as well as I called on my friend Glenn at Awesome to help me out. I felt like we needed another prize in this category, and Glenn's launching a new service for small businesses, and it's an affordable website option for businesses looking for that. So this person will also receive a marketing high-speed website, which includes domain registration, website, and 5 hours of content setup. So thanks, Glenn, for pulling through with that one at the last minute yesterday. So the winner of this package is Matt Benson Construction. So congratulations, Matt. So for those of you that don't know, Matt is based in Clifford, and he specializes in home framing and custom renovations. And his expansion plans include purchasing land in Clifford, and he's already purchased a few, and building some custom homes. So it's very exciting to be growing the community of Clifford. So congratulations. Alrighty. So the winner is going to take home, thanks, Bill, over $12,500 in cash and prizes. This includes $3,000 in startup capital from our sponsors, the Town of Minto, the Chamber of Commerce, Mayor George Bridge, and the Saugeen Economic Development Corporation. Next slide. A 1-year membership to the SED training program. That's over $2,000 value. Next, coaching and mentorship package from Business Enterprise Center. And that's a $600 value. A free chamber membership. Next slide. An advertising campaign with Country 93 valued at $1,000. An advertising campaign with these stations, the Blackburn stations, at $500. A $500 value advertising package from 88.7 The River. This is the full website evaluation, design, CMS setup, and search engine optimization for a $2,000 value from Awesome. Next slide. Yep. Quarter-page ad and an 8-page ad, as well as an online profile on the website, and a new business story and photo in the Independent Plus. It's a $600 value. 3 months of free internet service and feature of the competition and winning business on Whiteman's Community Channel. That's a $1,250 value. 1 year, a lot of prizes. 1 year basic business banking package, advising by a business account manager in a safety deposit box. That's a $300 value thanks to RBC. A 1 year basic banking package, meeting with a business advisor and a business credit card, or they can switch out the overdraft service fee. And that's from CIBC. Next slide. 500 full-color business cards and a 1/6 page ad in the Rural Route magazine from Innovative Print and the Rural Route. $374 value. And the winner is McDonald Chiropractic. So, Sean and Paige here are going to be opening a chiropractic clinic in the Harrison Lyons Medical Clinic, and they're offering a wide array of services, including acupuncture, laser therapy, custom orthotics, custom rehab programs, soft tissue treatments, genetic testing, counseling, and massage therapy. So congratulations to you folks. So yeah, I can't say enough about the caliber of these businesses. In fact, next year we're going to be looking at revamping the Pitch It program to try and make it the pricing custom to each business so that one person isn't necessarily getting so much. So because of this round of competitors that was so good, we want to really make sure that everyone gets the customized prize package to help them as best as we can. So thank you all for participating. We'd like to get some photos, and yeah, that's it. I don't know if you guys want to.
I just does anybody on the council want to speak first? Or?
Sure, you're going to say what you want.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, hopefully, if not, listen. If not, by all means, fill it in. But when this started 7 years ago, and Belinda and I were talking about trying to help small business, and we were talking about how we were looking. It was before launch, it almost like we were still working on our programs, and some things came out of it. But when you see those sponsors, and you see the people that came to the table, and a lot of them have been with us from the start, mm-hmm. and it's just been great. And to see, and then when we go back and see all the businesses that have started, some haven't succeeded, but that's what small business and entrepreneurship is. You can't always win, and sometimes they didn't win because they decided after they got into it and somebody came with a better offer that they ended up going somewhere else. So, but it wasn't because of lack of good ideas and lack of great effort on the person's behalf, but because when you look at those prizes and the fact that you get mentorship, you get business planning, and the fact that you have to do a business plan to get into the competition in the first place, it allows people to really think and grow. And so everybody's a winner here. And I agree with you, Belinda. I think if we revamp it and try to, because we're doing so well with the number of sponsorships. So, but when you went through it today, I can see every one of those will help the individuals. Mm-hmm. I'm really proud of your department and what you've done and the hard work that you've done to make it go the way it is. And everybody that put in this year, and I know you put lots of time in those. Mm-hmm. Congratulations. I'm sure that time will be, a lot of value will come out of that time that you put in.
And all of our judges, too, offered mentorship. Mm-hmm. A lot of them related to the people that were presenting and mm-hmm. offered their time. So I'll be following up with all the contestants on how you claim your prizes and how you can connect with our judges, because they're a wealth of information, and having them sit down with you is worth a lot in itself. So thanks again to them.
Anything else, guys? Did we hit it?
Just fantastic.
Well, thanks.
Okay, so,
I know the council.
Yeah. Get a big group picture with all of the finalists and the judges and sponsors, and then we'll get a picture of the winners.
I noticed that.
Can we move this over a little more? Sure.
I talked to a lot of people about I'm angry enough. I feel like running. I'll believe that when I see it. She deserves to be. And he did. And there's lots of other Yeah. You don't want to get too disappointed. Oh, I don't think you are. No, that's a good picture.
Yeah.
What a photo shot. What a photo shot.
Yes. Yeah, I did.
What a Photoshop, eh?
This is usually after the Marcos. You want to go?
I should have worn black because that one moved very well. Yeah, that's true. It's a pain when there's something on the screen and we don't have a copy of it. You're like,
Can't see it?
you can see it when you're standing. It's okay if you're sitting.
Ah. Move them closer.
Sean.
Well, I don't know, like
The NRA building, right? Okay.
then maybe. Is this thing in your way to see TV?
Okay.
No, the
Well, I was
person
just
is.
saying the person is when there's somebody standing.
Okay.
Like if we have a copy of it, then it's no big deal. But obviously we have a copy of it. Thank you.
And then back on here, Lou can't see that person sitting there sometimes.
Oh, that's true too, yeah.
I get it again.
It should go back.
When you leave it, it's not going to
Chamber of Commerce. Student.
Oh, wow.
Just got. We should have introduced him.
Yes, we should have introduced him.
Can you grab James?
I'll grab him. Summer? Can you grab James and introduce him to us?
Don't grab them.
No. Wait, hang on. Yeah.
What's his last name?
James Cooper.
Okay.
So, I'd like to introduce James Cooper, who is the Minto Chamber of Commerce summer student this year.
Microphone.
Let's go up the microphone.
Come up. Come up to James.
This way, Whiteman will know who you are when you're walking down the streets. Everybody know who you are, James.
That's right. So, as I was saying, this is James Cooper. He is the Minto Chamber of Commerce summer student this year, and he also is the cruiser guy for 88.7. I don't know what your official title is. But, yes, so you see him on social media probably, but James, you can tell him a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, sure. I attend the University of Guelph for Neuroscience and Theater Studies. I just finished my third year, so I've got 1 year left. This is my last year to, take full advantage of the summer student grant program jobs that are available in our communities. So I've had lots of those positions before. I worked at the Mount Forest Chamber a few summers ago, so happy to be in a similar position with Summer, who's been my employer before as well. So that's how I knew her.
What he's up for.
Yeah, so really excited to be here. Lots happening in the community, and I'm happy to, cover some of the events with my 88.7 The River job, and attend and help run those events with this job. So yeah, just happy to be here.
Good work.
Good.
Thanks, James.
Welcome.
Have a good summer. Get
If
that
you have any problems with that,
With me?
Really?
public question period.
They've all left. You
Yep.
always wait till they leave.
Oh yeah. I know. No, we never do that. No, she can't. She's not public.
question?
Correspondence. Is there now? What was I? Did I see something here?
Don't.
The gala note. Yes, that's
very nice.
yes. That was a nice note from the gala. They did an excellent job, and
Oh, amazing.
Yeah.
amazing how that started with the nurses all those years ago, and how much we've done over the
Has
years.
anyone heard a figure?
I have not.
Around 200.
Around 200. Around 200.
Not wonderful.
Maybe a little bit more by the time they're done. But
And where it was going this year was.
there was a whole bunch of equipment listed.
Yes.
Defibrillators and infusion.
Infusion pumps and
Thank you.
okay. Somebody just moved that the correspondence about that. Ron. Ron. 2 hours. All in favor?
B&R.
Okay, good. Excellent. Reports from committees. We got the recreation. Saugeen. Valley, that's the only one we have. Any questions on the Saugeen one? I didn't have any.
Oh, I didn't either.
Oh, good. Somebody move that. David? Mary Lou? Oh, Judy? Okay. All in favor? She didn't have her hand up. I went
like this, so.
I looked
Can't
down there.
turn her head.
I looked down
It's
there for a
positive.
hand. There's no hand. Economic development.
So our last meeting, we had a presentation from Bang the Table, which is an online community engagement software platform. And there was a lot of interest in this, especially for next year, some of the projects that we'll be working on, and as a way to engage the community that doesn't come out to public meetings and stuff like that. So we're going to be exploring that further, but it was very interesting for those that were here. There seemed to be a lot of interest in moving forward with that. Also wanted to highlight that you'll note that I made a comment here about the vacancy rebate program in Minto and seeing some positive changes. So stay tuned for more information on how that change that we've been pursuing for years may actually see some results very shortly. Fingers crossed.
Maybe.
Also, at the end of May, I participated in the Youth Employment Fair in Guelph. It was nice to have the Norwell District Secondary students attend that and be able to see that there are jobs available in Minto. Most of the employers at that event were from Guelph or southern Wellington County, so it was nice to actually see the Norwell students and have jobs available for them to take. So hopefully our employers found some employees out of that. I think those were like the main things I wanted to touch on out of these minutes. Anyway, oh wait, the Hawk's Nest. That is happening next Wednesday.
Mm-hmm.
We have 2 finalists out of 7 from Minto. We have a hawk. There's a People's Choice Award. For every ticket, $5 goes to the People's Choice winner. It would be really great if we could have a strong Minto contingent to cheer on our people so that they may win the People's Choice Award. So please see me this week if you would like a ticket. They're $25. And as I noted here, Caitlin Hall from Reroute, I can't tell you who those 2 businesses are, but for the Rise Awards, which are the next night in Guelph, Caitlin Hall from Reroute Organic will be pitching. She's one of the 10. So I'll be hopefully there cheering for Caitlin. And yeah. And then we did our graduating class luncheon at Norwell last week, and that was very well received by the graduating class. And all the rest of the students who got to eat the leftover food were very grateful. So it was a great day. And thanks to the Lions Commerce Lions for helping us with that. Mm-hmm. So I think that's all I wanted to highlight out of those minutes.
Any questions or comments? Ron?
I don't know whether you noticed, Linda, but they're going crazy downtown Palmerston building and fixing and
Yes.
painting Keith Aska's store is being painted, and that Vermeet is
Yep.
going nuts, and the laundromat, they're down there working away. The
Sean
other
Wells.
laundromat on James Street is being fixed
Redone, yeah.
now, and so it just seems our businesses are, for some reason,
Yeah, action's
Fifty-
happening. It's
yeah.
exciting to see. And also on that note, we should thank the Norwell Kelp class.
Mm-hmm.
They came out to both downtown Palmerston and Hairston and washed windows for the businesses, swept in front of their
That's
storefronts,
amazing.
and the businesses were
Truly
very
amazing.
appreciative of that and really helped spruce up the
maybe
the
that spurred
downtowns.
them on.
Maybe it was good. Yeah, that's
That's all good.
good. Okay, and then
All right.
culture.
Mover. Hello, David. All in favor? Get you next. I got you one. Sorry.
You did.
Culture Roundtable. You're right there.
Yes, so Culture Roundtable, we talked about board development training, seeing that there seems to be some community groups as they transition to new boards, people coming in and information not being passed along on how to properly run a board. So we've looked into teaming up with Wellington North and the PIN network, which used to be the Volunteer Center, on looking at hosting some sort of training that we can help people that are transitioning onto boards understand what their responsibilities are. Obviously, the excitement this weekend around the Culture Roundtable was the launch of our Cool Cones public art project. It's been a stressful time in the making, but it's very rewarding to see the community really excited about that. And I believe Councillor Turton was going to say something, so I don't want to.
Don't steal my thunder.
I won't steal your thunder. Do you want to say that now?
Yeah, I don't want to wait.
Oh, you're gonna wait? Okay.
Come on.
So yeah, like kudos to all the artists. We had 9 artists. 8 of the 9 are from Minto, which is really cool. And cool cones, yep. And all of the businesses that help sponsor as well. The video that we took of the live unveiling the other day is almost up to 3,000 views. And people are out there having their kids take pictures with them. And it's really neat to see the interest that's been generated from that project. So that's really cool. And then we're starting to plan our Culture Days events at the end of September. So more details will be evolving on that. And I think that's all I want to say out of those minutes, unless there's questions.
Judy.
I have a question.
Sure.
Okay. On the board development training,
Yes.
is that only available for town of Minto related committees,
No.
or could
For
it
everyone.
for anyone in the area,
Yes.
for profit, nonprofit?
Yes.
Doesn't
Mhm.
matter.
Yeah,
Okay.
so initially they have like a 5-part series. There's 5 different elements and they're about a 2-hour session each. So we looked at doing that and the committee felt that that might be too much of a commitment for people. So I think they're going to come in and do like a 2-hour overview of what you need to know. And then if people are really interested in say, like the financial side of things or the HR side of things, then we can bring them back to do a more specific training around that. But yeah, it'll be open to any groups that are out there because yeah, things are going on and they don't know that that's not right because they weren't told any different.
Right.
And just being involved with some of them, it's a little scary.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
No, I think that's great.
can help them
And
out.
I think one of the challenges too with volunteer organizations is some of the history is not passed on. Like
Mhm.
it's
Yes.
hard to have processes in place, for instance, and those kinds of things in volunteer organizations. And so I find moving in and out of organizations, that's something that I've really noticed.
yeah,
is-
like groups don't know that they have bylaws
yeah,
or that financial reports
or that they need to be looked
presented.
at, or all of
Yeah.
those things. So I think that's great.
No, and I agree with you, Judy. I've been sitting in a lot of boards, big and little, and throughout my career, and that board governance is just getting that in that transitional period. Just the fact that if some of them don't realize you should have a vice president, you should have somebody that has a year to get used to it before they have to go into it, and all the other stuff.
Mhm.
So any kind of education on that will just make the organizations a lot stronger in the end. And we might not lose a few that we've lost in the past just because somebody does it forever and then all of a sudden they're gone.
Yeah.
And then nobody can step up to the plate because nobody knows how to do it. And they just say, well, it's just disband. And it's always, it might be a great organization and great, do a lot of benefit, but nobody takes that next step. So it's great that you guys are going to be doing that. David, did you want to say?
Yeah, I can say it now.
Well, I think it's now.
So, yeah, sure. Just wanted to piggyback on Belinda's cool cone. 10 cool cones downtown Hairston. Mr. Elliott talks about downtown Palmerston, downtown Hairston, downtown Clifford. there's excitement in every one of our towns, even out in the township. So, voting, Belinda, let's be really clear on how we vote.
Yes. Okay. So
Okay?
voting, there's two ways you can vote. If you go onto the town Facebook page, for those that are on Facebook, they can see the Cool Cones album, and you will like the cone that's your favorite. There's a little thumbs up sign. Give it a thumbs up. On Instagram, which Taylor's more familiar with, sharing of a story or
Mhm.
Yep. And then for those that are not technological savvy, we will have brochures going out this week, probably tomorrow, to all the downtown businesses that are sponsors, as well as a couple others. And people can see the cones on there, the descriptions, the sponsors, and then they can tear off a panel, circle their favorite cone, and leave it in the boxes marked Cool Cones. So there's two ways or three, I guess, with Instagram that people can vote. On August 11th, 5 o'clock, I think the voting ends. And at the street dance, we'll be announcing the winner, and the winning cone will get $500.
Nice. And Georgie?
So just a question, can you vote more than once?
So on Facebook, you can
easy.
like 5 different cones or whatever. Yes, you can.
And that's
vote more
okay
than once.
to do that?
Yes, we
Okay.
can't stop them from doing that.
Well, it's just people don't know, right?
Yes, yeah.
I haven't clicked on
we
any
did-
likes because I was afraid to do that because I wasn't sure.
We did put just like one, but people are liking more than one. So
Okay.
like whichever ones you like, and in the end, whoever has the
It'll all
most
work
likes.
out.
Like, yeah, because there's
Okay.
multiple ones that I like too. It's hard to
Well,
pick the
it's
best
really hard to
one.
pick.
So
Yeah, it's hard.
All I was going to say is thanks, Dave, for standing in. And I did watch. We were down in Halifax. We watched the
live
video of it live, and so that's one of the. How many did you say it was?
We've almost had 3,000
Yep,
people view
That's amazing.
Our live
Yeah,
video.
so-
And I also want to definitely give a big shout out to Andy again
Yep.
from
Mhm.
Weathered,
Yep.
because he helped us out huge
Yep.
throughout this project in terms of designing the cones, even transporting them to people who couldn't get here to get them, helping us install, Dave Turton helping him install them on Friday night. And yeah, so
I
Oh,
drove
for
by
sure.
them all. I'm going to walk by them all though, because you can't really get a good feel till you walk.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you have to do the walk.
So, Mayor Bridge, Andy did a lot of work. I mean, it's pretty easy. It's not easy to sit back and plan all this stuff. And Belinda, thank you as well. But Andy took the bull by the horns and built these things and delivered them, and he picked them up, and now he put them on the street. He did a great job. So if you see him, thank him.
Will do. Really?
Can I just ask, I know the answer to this, but I've had a couple of questions about, are they out for good now? Like, do they, will they weather the winter, or
no,
will we
they
put
won't
them
be on
away?
the winter for sure. We'll be putting them away probably the end of September.
Okay.
Yes, they will not be out for the winter. No, no.
Or-
It's more like
Yeah,
the
okay,
purpose of the
so-
Cool Cones, obviously beyond celebrating the Canada Packers reunion, is to have a unique piece on the street that people will stop. Like we're always saying, how do we get people to stop? So this is kind of attracting people to do that. So that'll just be like they just went out at the beginning of June, and they'll be out till the end of September probably. Yeah, and then hopefully going back out next summer.
Mhm.
But yeah. Okay, thanks.
Thank you. Motion to accept. David and Ron, all in favor? Parks and Rec.
Ice cream?
No, there's no dispatching of ice cream in them.
There was on Saturday.
Although
Yes.
we're going to have an ice cream place now, I'm really excited about.
Yes.
Many calories a night.
Yeah.
Ready?
Yep.
Okay, just a comment from the programs. The spring programs are wrapping up with the Try It program, the grassroots, and the summer kids ball, or the spring kids ball hockey league. Matt and the staff have been busy getting things set up for the children's summer day camp and swimming pools, and look forward to a good summer season that way. I guess a couple things to highlight on in the manager's report would be the Splash Pad Bash coming up. There's some wonderful artwork done on the sports pad down at Heritage Park, and give you
Yes.
another reason to show
Beautiful.
up.
Beautiful.
And again, that was done by our high school students. The Harrison pools, the pumps running, everything's in place. Things went very smoothly. We've got a few little deck features to put in for lane ropes and reattach the diving board, but she's going to be ready to go. Again, a special thank you to the Harrison Kinsmen for the assistance that they put in and helping with the deck removal. Just went so smooth and wonderful, and the guys did a great job. I wanted to speak a little bit about a decking project at the Clifford Ball Diamond. Community funds, a lot of it from Homecoming and community groups have been put aside, and what they're hoping to do is build a deck that's going to be part of the concession area. There's going to be a staircase going down the steep hill to the Ball Diamond, and it's going to be funded with community money. So I want council to be aware of that. Some good things going on up that way. There was a motion made about event security, and we're proposing that we single source this security for two reasons. Hawthorne Security has done some work for us. Party in the Park, they did the Clifford Homecoming and some of our smaller events. The staff have nothing but good reports about the security and the job that they do at the licensed events. And they're reasonably priced. And the second reason is when we do, what would we say, higher risk events, buck and does, this way we can ensure that we have security at these events. So we'd like to propose that we single source it. Not for all events, but for buck and does and some of their higher risk events.
Questions?
Yeah. Escape clause?
I'm sorry.
Escape clause for contracting the security? Like if there's a situation develops where they're not satisfactory anymore, or there's a problem that you need to get out of the contract?
I think that would be open-ended for us, but if we get into an agreement, we'll make sure that's done.
Yeah, it's really important that that's in there.
Okay, agreed.
That's a good point.
I was just going to ask on the security too for the buck and does. So if someone rents a facility through buck and doe, they just pay for security. It's not up to them to provide security.
They're hiring an independent company the way it is now. Yes.
No,
they don't provide it.
So
themselves.
now they will be asked to use this firm.
We are just going to hire the security as opposed to allowing them to hire the people.
And just charge them for the security cost.
And we've got a company we feel very comfortable with.
Right.
So,
okay.
Thank you.
And I would assume now that that's the idea, that you get used to a company, you know exactly what the company's going to bring. So if I was doing a buck and doe and I thought, well, I hired, and I may not know if it's a security company, I might hire somebody I think will be good, and they come and they go do the job. Now you're on the hook, right? You've hired, and now that staff have to interact. So I assume that's why you want to single source it.
It has happened where security hasn't shown up, or they've shown up and they've been short. They've also shown up where they haven't really done a good job as well.
So this gives us a little more control, and as Deputy Mayor Faulkner is saying, as long as we know that if they start doing a bad job, we can let them go. We build that into our contract.
Right into the contract.
Yeah. Good. Is that it?
Okay. Is there any other questions on the report?
I don't have any. Did anybody else?
Just perhaps, and it maybe this isn't the time or place, but the comments from the volunteers for the gala and whatnot, just again raved about the cooperation of your staff and yourself, and helping them out, putting on an extremely successful event. So to reflect their remarks on behalf of council, thank you. And
that means a lot.
Please pass that on to your staff.
We heard that a lot.
Yeah, we did.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
And on our behalf, they're a great group to work with.
Yeah.
They are.
Good.
They're a good group of people. Thank you.
So moved by Ron, second by Judy. All in favor?
We're going for it.
Thanks. So are you doing the facilities too? You're right up there. Just keep going. Tender.
I think the tender's pretty self-explanatory. If there's any questions.
Come here, you. I'm just talking to my machine here.
Is it
How much
listed?
of the Save on Energy grant is it in here?
It's for that particular grant. It's going to be in the neighborhood of $2,700.
Okay. Good.
Those grant monies are deducted from that. The
Oh,
prices
it's already
that you
deducted.
see.
Okay.
That's correct.
Is
They're
that through
factored
West?
in.
That's through West Ontario.
It's through.
Are they?
It is through West. We
Yeah,
deal.
West Ontario has to do the logistics of it,
Yeah.
but it's through the government. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Can I have a mover?
So
Sure.
Mayor Faulkner, Mayor Caldwell, Councilor Caldwell, all in favor? Oh, naming rights policy. Ooh. Go for it. You got a lot of tough ones today. Eh?
okay. Naming sports fields and things has kind of been brought up, and a couple of occasions, we'll say at a department heads meeting or something like that, we wanted to bring council forward a policy. Myself and Greg and Matt, we did review a lot of policies, and we've opted for the short and sweet as opposed to the 20-pager. I think this covers things for, we'll say, an individual's name in memory of, or as well as financial considerations. And we're hoping to get something in place, so if somebody does come forward with a request to name a facility or a park or anything else, we have a guideline, a policy.
Okay. House here to answer any questions. That was well done.
Yep.
Okay. Moved by Councilor Turton, second by Councilor Elliott. All in favor? There you go. Okay.
Thank
You're
you.
off, unless you want to do economic development, you're off the hook. You can probably handle it, Al. Do you want to just keep going?
I'm sure you'd rather.
You're on a bit of a roll.
Okay, thank you.
Pretty short and sweet. So it's just coming out into open. So this is an agreement of purchase and sale to Jeremy Metzger of Metzger Heating Limited. This is on Noble Family Road, looking at Part 3, Lot 3. If you recall, this goes back quite some time ago, and prior to us increasing our land prices. So that's why this price is $15,000 an acre. This parcel is just over an acre. We're in the process of getting the reference plan finalized and off to the registry office. So yeah, Jeremy's keen to get started on building this as soon as he can and get going. So all the other details are there. It's plans to construct a 7,000 square foot 3-bay building. One is for him, and then renting 2 other units, and he's been in talks with people already for those units. So that's good. There's also 2 different zones on this property. Part of it's light industrial and the other one is regular industrial, and that works with what he's proposing, so that's fine. Yeah, it's pretty straightforward.
Questions? Hoover? Judy? Deputy Mayor Faulkner? All in favor? Assistant. Oh, that's who's? Oh, yes. Oh, yeah. I was looking at assistant of chief of administration.
Oh,
Yeah.
I was thinking you were
Sorry.
my last name. So
No.
changed it.
Good. No, I was looking at this and I thought, what do we got? I was thinking it was almost building, but no. Then I read it. Okay. I'm moving along.
Well, I'm here for my annual visit to council. I guess I should do it more often, make me less nervous. But Taylor and I are here to present some information to you that we just sort of came across within the last few weeks. So I guess as many of you know, there's been lots of loss experienced within the Minto community in the last 6 months, particularly with our youth, but with the rest of the populations as well. And I've kind of spent the last 6 months working on post-traumatic stress prevention policies for the fire department, or critical incident stress management policies for the fire department. And members of our community have been reaching out to us as kind of a response agency and asking us questions about what resources are available for those that are affected with loss, or suicide prevention or mental health and wellness programming and we don't really have that many answers right now. So about 3 weeks ago, Paul Richards from Norwell reached out to Taylor, or I guess the mayor maybe, and he reached out to Taylor and she passed it on to me. And he's finding that his students are very much affected with many of the recent tragedies that have happened. So he's kind of racking his brain as what he can do. So we had a meeting 3 weeks ago with Cecilia Marie Flynn from CHIO, which is like she calls it a learning organization through the Children's Hospital of Eastern Ontario. And she is a youth suicide prevention consultant. So she comes into communities, basically drafts a strategic plan and strategies on how to deal with mental health crisis or suicide. And when she was explaining to me what prevention program was composed of, it's in four pieces, which is found on page 2. So you have things like mental health and life promotion, community risk assessment, risk management and intervention, and then the post-vention piece. And it was kind of a light bulb in my mind, as those are the 4 pieces of a critical incident stress management program. They're very similar. So I thought, this could be a good thing for Minto Fire, and partnered with the Minto Youth Action Council to kind of take on, because one of the pieces that Cynthia mentioned, is that it has to be community driven. It has to be owned by the community in order for it to be implemented properly, and for people to actually receive the information. If somebody comes in, like if she was to come in and start promoting suicide prevention strategy, it wouldn't be well received because nobody knows her. So we feel that since we are kind of a response agency that's usually involved in many of these tragedies, and the Youth Action Council is sort of the pulse of the youth, that we would be 2 good organizations to lead this. So it's very preliminary stages. As I've said, we've just had the initial meeting. We're hoping to have kind of a data mining of the community, if you will. We thought June 14th, but now we're thinking it might be moved to the fall, as kids are just going into the exam season, so they're not as engaged right now. So we did kind of send out an invitation, I think, to council about it, but just hold up, we're not sure about that right now. Anyway, so basically that's all I have for information. I think that there will be, for us, in regards to PTSD prevention, some cost savings when we partner with the community for the same sort of programming, as we're not kind of like reinventing the wheel, if you will. So that's where I see can benefit the fire department. But very, very preliminary. Just had one meeting, just sort of been brainstorming.
Just to add, there's a conference call tonight that we're going to be joining in, and with everyone else who was at the meeting. So we had a mix from different kind of stakeholders and people kind of dealing with youth or trying to help any sort of person going through these difficult situations. So all those people are going to be joining again for this call tonight. And then we'll have some more details to share. And then just from the youth perspective, at the last meeting, which I guess was May 16th, all the youth kind of gathered their thoughts, just kind of hashed out suggestions of what can be improved, what should be in place, just different ideas to kind of get the wheels turning a bit. So they're extremely excited to be a part of this. And I think it's fantastic that Minto Fire is kind of taking the lead on this, since it really does work well with what they're doing already, and they kind of have that expertise to kind of drive it forward for us all. So it's definitely a tough subject. I think it's good that Norwell and so many different people from the community are ready to kind of take matters into their own hands and see what we can do to help this issue.
Questions?
Yes. First of all, hats off. It's really important. If anybody could have attended FCM, the Federation of Canadian Municipalities, that was in Halifax this past 4 days, that was a subject that was talked about all weekend, and so it's something that we're dealing with right across Canada. My only comment would be to perhaps think about drawing on some medical expertise. We have a lot. I'm thinking we have a lot of new young doctors in the area now, so they they might be able to assist with that. And shoot, what was the other one? Oh, and perhaps the Wellington Mental Health.
They're already participating.
Are already participating.
Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you.
Yeah, Scott Larson with the embedded ones, and with as part of the group that they'll be calling tonight.
Well done. Applaud you.
Mm-hmm.
I do
Thank
as
you for
well. you
taking
guys.
this on.
And when we had this talk, and I know this came out of the youth group came to ask me, and that's when I put it off to, and we went through this program. And Cleese, it was great. We had the meeting the other day, and I talked to Paul recently too, and he's really happy that we're taking the lead on it, because he's going to be here another year. He's worried he'll get lost in the shuffle if somebody new comes in. So he's very behind you. So I think we've got, Ron, the players together that are going to be involved in this. I see a lot of people in the community that would like to donate to something once we got it going. And so I think there's going to be a lot of good support from a dollar standpoint when we get rolling as well. But having the key of having the youth involved, and they can kind of, it's not just youth, but having the youth involved to make sure that they can help drive the bus. I think that's going to make the big difference, than rather than somebody, as you said, Cleese, coming from afar and coming in and saying, I can tell you how to do it. But there's no buy-in at that point. Buy-in's because we're at our grass level. So thanks for all your commitment, and let me know about that call tonight. Maybe I can sign in on that call tonight. What time is it? 6:30. Okay, I can probably do that. Yeah, give me the number. Yeah. Okay, thank you. Motion to accept the report. Ron and Judy, all in favor? Pumper truck. Oh, I'll pass it over to Deputy Mayor Faulkner. He's got a couple of fire things on here today.
Yes, and it was quite interesting before I introduced the chief. One of the persons I made good friends with and good contacts was Fire Chief Ken Stubing of the Halifax Fire Department. And boy, we had some interesting discussions on purchase of equipment, manufacturers, and whatnot. And I might comment, Chief, that this latest trade war, so to speak, discussion might be a good thing in this sense for Canada, because maybe somebody in Canada will say, maybe we should start manufacturing these things. So hopefully that will happen. So to bring forward the information and the proposal for the new pumper truck, I present Chief Harrell.
Thank you. And yeah, we put all these fire reports on just so that your meeting was a little bit longer, so you weren't out here by 4 o'clock. So you're welcome. Just before I
get
get
a call at 6:30 now.
Yeah,
just to let you know.
Well, I'll sail through. Just quickly to add, and we'll get to it in the master fire plan update. You'll see in a couple of reports from now, but the importance of that project, the suicide prevention and the critical incident stress and that in the community. We believe that it's something, and it's something that we're going to rearrange a bunch of priorities of the department, just so people, I know you understand, but just so everybody knows that we're not doing stuff that we can just add this to our repertoire, but we're going to put a couple other things on hold because I think this is such an important thing in the community right now. So we're kind of realigning some strategies in that in the department, but because this is important and because it's affected our department and our community so much the past year, that we agree with everybody that this is something that needs to be done and needs to be worked on. So, so the RFP for the pumper truck went out in April. We gave everybody about 5 weeks because it takes so long for them to design the truck, come back with all the prices and that. So after 5 weeks, we did get back 5 bids on the truck. You can see a picture of the truck that we're replacing right there. It's a 1999 pumper truck. It was the last truck that one of the towns, this is the town of Palmerston, built before we went to Minto. And the bids came back. They're kind of all over the place, as it says in the report, because 2 companies put in demo trucks, which don't really fit what we asked for. They're just trucks they have on the lot that they were looking to get. And we looked at them to see if they would work for us. But we determined that they wouldn't really work for us because one of the big reasons was the headroom. We wanted a 20-inch raised roof, on the truck or the compartment. So firefighters should actually stand up, and they come with 10-inch raised roofs, so that means they can't stand up in the cab. They'd be slouched all the time. You can sit fine, but as soon as they stand up, they have to be banging their heads off the roof, which for recovery and getting in out of the cold and stuff like that, it's not real good when you have to be inside the truck and for getting ready. So the one that we did look at and decide on was the one from Fort Garry Fire Trucks. Its base price, which is a little misleading, was $487,000 and like 1 cent, I believe. And that was fine. But once I got looking through the binder, as you can see here, it comes with. And I got looking through that binder. A lot of the options that we would require weren't in that truck. For example, air conditioning, shelving for the compartments and that. And when I talked to them, they said the reason is that they put a whole list of options in the binder, and then you kind of put it in to your own truck to get it the way you want, which I understand. A lot of city departments will put out a spec that has exactly, it's about a 100-page spec that has exactly every shelf, every screw, every bolt that they want. We unfortunately don't have the luxury of that because we just don't have a person to sit down and write a 100-page spec out to send out. So that is the reason why, all said and done, that the truck was ended up being at $530,000. As you saw in the report, that is over budget. Truck prices have gone up significantly, which, talking to a lot of my peers, and I'm sure you talk to out there, truck prices have gone really, really crazy. This truck that we're looking for is the exact same truck that we built for Clifford in 2010-11. And back then, for those that were around then, remember it was $306,000 was what we paid for the contract back then.
Wow.
So 7 years later, I thought that we had lots of money sitting there for it, but that came back a little bit higher than what we had thought it was. So that's the proposal. That's the prices that came back. I've talked to Gord, and what we're talking about doing is we'll borrow in advance from our reserve account, which will replace the next year. So in 2020, we'll replace that back into the reserve account it's borrowed from, because we put so much into our reserve account every year. We've also looking at revamping our truck plan, that we're going to push these trucks out to, instead of replacing every 20 years, we're going to replace them every 25 years to give us 5 more years of savings in the future for our frontline pumper trucks, that to make sure that we have lots of money and can continue to build up the savings so that our reserve account's healthy and is there for the future. We're also looking at ways to revamp and come up with savings in our reserves going forward, which will be brought forward in future budget years. So the recommendation is to award the truck to Fort Garry in a total not to exceed $530,000.
Any questions? Mary Lou? Councillor
Through,
Caldwell, sorry.
through you, Deputy Mayor. What happens to the pumper the pumper we're replacing?
It will be sold. So I never budget what we get for it because that market is so topsy-turvy. But we put it on the same buy and sell that the Public Works uses, the online, I can't remember what it's called. Do you remember? Govdeals.com. Thanks, Gordon. Govdeals.com, and we put it out. So it goes, the last time we actually sold it to the States, and we got a decent price for it. So we will put on there, and any money we get from that will decrease what the extra money is we needed. But I didn't put anything in there because that's so unpredictable, and I didn't want to give false hope to say we expect to get $20,000 for this truck and we get 5. So because the fire truck market is so unpredictable when it comes to used trucks.
And is that the type of dollars you think you might be talking?
Previously, for pumpers that we sold, we've gotten 4 and 5,000. The last one we sold, we just got 10. So now they were 1980s trucks, so hopefully a 90s truck will sell more than an 80s truck.
Well, with that in mind, just a question. I'm not doing anybody's judgment, but you are going to move it to 25 years. Is there any chance of moving this one to 25 years?
This truck in particular, no. We would really like to replace it now for a few reasons. You can see it. It's a commercial, what's called a commercial chassis. So it's a regular truck chassis in the front. It's not a fire truck chassis on it. So the new truck has, for lack of better, it has a flat nose on it. It's designed to be a fire truck chassis. This one is a commercial road truck that was then, the back was built onto it to become a fire truck back then. and we've had numerous problems with wiring in it. I can give you a prime example. Is about 3 weeks ago, they were doing truck checks, and some wiring caught fire under the pump panel, and they had to put it out with a fire extinguisher. So we had to fix that bit of the wiring. So this one is starting to see its end of life. Whereas now, when we design it as a fire, like a actual fire truck chassis, we're confident that we'll be able to get 25 years out of those.
Councillor Turton?
Thank you, Deputy Mayor, Chief Chris. So that's your 2011, 2018. That's 40%. So where's the major expense? Is it the chassis in this case, because the last chassis was just kind of built, or is it all the trinkets and bells and whistles and stuff?
No, I can assure you, like, we don't put a ton of bells and whistles on them.
That's not what I meant.
No,
that's not what I meant.
Yep, no, and I didn't take it that way. Honest, it's the chassis come out of the United States. They're the only ones that'll build. There's no chassis that you can get that's built in Canada, similar to what you had said earlier. So that comes out of Michigan. So one thing with back in 11, the dollar was a little bit better in 2011, so that did factor into it. But I've asked a lot of people. Nobody's come up with a concrete answer, whether it's steel prices because steel prices are so much, or because labor is so much down there, or what. But the chassis is significant more. I am happy that with Fort Garry, they are out of Winnipeg, so the chassis comes out of the States, but the whole back part of the truck with the compartments is all built at Fort Garry in Winnipeg, so it's Canadian made, which it is, neither here nor there, but it's a Canadian made truck. So hopefully, I'm not an economist, but with this tariffs and steel and all the stuff going on, if it's Canadian made, the back part of it, once we get the chassis, then hopefully that'll be good.
Not a whole lot you can do, is there? Really?
And my comment on that, the speculation is that it's going to go up even more substantially in the future. Mayor Bridge.
Just on that, I think, Chris, you had mentioned one time about the fact that there's not as much competition out there either, which is one of the problems. And so at one time, I think maybe in 2011, Councillor Turton, there was more people building them, but it's got less and less competition out there. And you know what happens when there's less competition. The prices can roll. And I think you mentioned that at one of your reports one time about the fact that there's not as many truck companies out there.
In Ontario alone, there was 3 manufacturers in the last year or two that have closed up. So that you're absolutely right. There's 3 that less in the market.
Yeah. Any other questions, Councillor Elliott?
Yeah, I'm just wondering, Chris, will you find that you'll have more efficiencies with better equipped to fight fires and efficiency to attack fires, or will it make any difference at all that way?
It'll make a difference in how we transport. The new one will have 8 seats in it. This one has 6. So the new one will have is a what's called a rescue pumper, so it has everything on it. So if we have to, that's why before we eliminated rescue trucks out of Clifford and Hairston, because our frontline pumpers, now this is the last one, is a rescue stuff. So it can go with 8 people and have your rescue equipment, your hoses, your water, everything on it. So we could be that way. So that does help. That is a lot more efficient that we can take that.
Would you wait for 8 people to show, or would you just head out with 2 and then follow up with the truck?
We would have protocols that probably 4 is the minimum that truck would leave, and then if we know more is coming, then we would wait for the 8. It depends. We are exploring technology through cell phones to see that they can let us know who's responding to the firehouse, so we know how many people we have coming. So that will all play into it too. Right. But there will be the biggest efficiency is not something you'll see, but is in the cab, because the new cab's wide open because it's an actual fire truck cab. You can talk to one another in there. This one just has a little tiny window between the front and the back, so it's a lot of sticking your head up through a window and talking to the officer in the front. So it will be a lot more efficient that way too.
Any other questions? Then I will read the recommendation that the council receives the fire chief's report regarding must be a typo there. That the council receives the fire chief's report regarding and pumper truck RFP approves the report, the proposal from Fort Garry Fire Trucks of Winnipeg for a new pumper truck for a cost not to exceed $530,000. We have a mover, Mayor Bridge, seconded by Councillor Dirksen. All in favor? I declare the motion carried. Thank you, Chief.
Thank you. I'll take the fault for that. And I've never written this many reports for a meeting before, so. The next one, I believe, is about the new Fire Protection and Prevention Act regulations. So I don't know how much you've heard, but this is the newest thing that's released, and there's a lot of fear in the province from many fire departments and councils and letter writings about the new FPPA, as we call it, the Fire Protection and Prevention Act, which we call FPPA regulations. First, real changes to the FPPA is the governing act of the fire department. It kind of tells us what we can and can't do and how to run a fire department. And it tells the municipality what their obligations are. So it tells you that you have to have a smoke alarm program. It tells you have to do fire inspections. It tells you have to have a public education program. And now the big changes that it just came into effect is it now tells you that you have to have certified firefighters to fight fires. No more can the municipality in the past set the level of service. So you set the level of service your firefighters could train to. Now you set the level of service that you want your fire department to perform to, but now your firefighters have to train and be certified through a written exam and skills testing to that level. So, for example, if you want exterior firefighting only, so that means firefighters will never go into a building, they have to be certified to firefighter level 1. If you choose, which we do, to go into buildings, it's called interior firefighting, you need to be certified to firefighter level 1 and firefighter level 2. It sounds daunting, but we've been anticipating this coming in for a few years, and luckily enough, as part of my role when I was on the OAFC board, was to help with these regulations and be a part of them and know that they were coming forward. So we've been able to prepare through structure changes, through record keeping, and through numerous training programs that we've already had the luxury of implementing through the county. We're ready for them. So our past 2 recruit classes, as we call them, or the new firefighters that come on, they've taken recruit training with all of the county fire departments through the county training officer, and they are already in the process, or most of them are finished, of being certified. So that process is already in place. Actually, the latest recruit class, which we don't have anybody in, but they're just finishing up their last weekend of training, and they're going to write their exams at the beginning of July for the county fire department. So that process for new firefighters is already implemented in the county, and good on the county fire departments to get together and be ready for this coming down the pipe, that we could be prepared for this. So I don't think it's a bad thing, and I think it's a good thing that we're ready. The other changes that it has, though, is you have to have, if your firefighters wants to progress and become a captain, for example, they have to be certified to what's called fire officer level 1. If they run the pumper truck, they have to be certified to a pumper, or it's called an apparatus with pump certification. So a lot of these courses we teach to our firefighters already, or we send them away to it. It just means now that they have to take the course and they have to write the exam at the end of it. Which again, in words sounds very daunting, but a lot of the firefighters that go, they don't mind writing exams, because they say, if we're going to take the course, I'd rather write an exam and get a piece of paper that shows that I'm certified and I took this course and I put the effort into it. So there's not a lot of apprehension in our department over this, because we've been prepping them and been advising them and letting them know that it's coming and it's going to be that way. So the last one is, no matter what function you perform now in the fire department, you have to be certified to that level. So the biggest one is fire inspections. In order to perform a fire inspection in the municipality, you have to be a certified fire inspector, which again, we had the foresight, and we have Cam. That's you took and hired him, on a part-time basis, however many years ago, and that's been working out great. And so he's certified to fire inspector level 2, actually. So that's already been covered. So we're in very good shape for these to come in. It is a drastic change to the fire service. It is going to be on a go-forward basis. So what that means is anybody that was hired as a firefighter before July 1st, 2019 does not have to have the certifications. They're grandfathered forward, no matter what they have. Anybody hired after July 1st, 2019 will have to then get into the certification process.
Who's driving this, Chief?
The province drove it.
So this is provincial government.
Provincial government with the help of some unions. The unions like to help push this as well.
Okay.
So they drove this, and there was a technical table that was formed, and the fire chiefs were part of it. AMO was at the table, the unions, some volunteer fire departments were there, so they had cross representation, but I'll leave it at that. There was some more influential than others.
It's a discussion that also was fairly prevalent down at Halifax, and just for public information, the city of Halifax is a composite department. They have, I believe, I think it's 1,000 firefighters and 500 volunteers, and so that's a large number of volunteers, and so almost all their stations are composite. Where the worry is with city officials and literally municipalities from across Canada that we're pricing ourselves out of affordability by municipalities, and I'm just saying that, even though I support this, because can you imagine how much easier it is in a court of liability to say, okay, my piece of paper says I am qualified for that, than to go through an inquisition to say, okay, how do you know how to operate that pump? So that's my soapbox stand today on that.
And I know exactly. I agree with what you're saying, and there is a lot of angst across the country with the costing of firefighting in general. Sometimes full-time more than others, just the costing of that.
Yes, that's correct.
The other two regulations that are, so there's the training one, but there's also two that aren't getting as much publicity. Is there's the mandatory risk assessment being completed on your municipality. Again, we already complete it. It is part of the FPPA now, but now they've just put a little more teeth into it. That you have to look at your demographics, you have to look at your building stock, and most of that we already do. So we're waiting for the template to come out from the fire marshal's office, and we will be in pretty good shape for that. It might just take a little bit of time to, with Khalees and Cam, we're collaborating together on it to buff up our risk assessment. But that one's not till 2023, I believe, is when that one comes in. The last one was about mandatory public reporting, and this is the one that we need to keep an eye on, and we're going to. But you have to, there's going to be certain statistics and certain benchmarks that you have to report to the fire marshal's office for data purposes and for public viewing, so that they can see how fast did you get dispatched to the call, how fast was your turnout time, meaning how fast did you get firefighters to the hall and get the first truck out the door, how fast does it take you to get on scene. That type of thing is the stuff you're going to have to report on, and which I have no problem, and our times are very, very good in comparison to other municipalities. The trick is just recording of the times. Unless we have somebody sitting in our radio rooms at the fire hall writing down times, where sometimes we don't have enough personnel to do that. So that's where in a future reports we're looking at working with Guelph Fire to maybe progress to full dispatch, where they keep all of our times, where we just report right to Guelph Dispatch. They computer mark it. It's all recorded on a tape, as I used to say, but digitally recorded on the computer, and they record all the times instead of recording it locally. But there is 2 or 3 departments in the county that have moved that way, and that's something that we'll look at in the future and see what we can come up with. But that's one where we might have to do a little bit of tweaking to make sure that we're capturing all the times accurately and properly that they're going to require. So.
Mayor Bridge.
Yeah, just a comment, and Chris alluded to it, the chief alluded to it, and I think there's the benefit of having somebody that's on an Ontario organization.
Mm-hmm.
Without Chris being out there for the last 3 or 4 years, putting extra time and effort into it, we wouldn't have been a heads up on some of the stuff coming down the pike and how it was going to come down. And to give the department a lot of credit for the fact that they got ahead of the curve. And I think you talked about it in a report just a few councils ago about how the young, as you said, and the young people they do the training. They don't mind taking the tests, and it's nice that the other ones are grandfathered because I know how hard it is to do a test at my age. But anyways, they're willing to do it.
It's
and
the grandfather part of
yeah, that's the grandfather part of it. You're right. But yeah, and they're doing it, and you've got yourself covered, and I think that's just great. But I am concerned, and Deputy Mayor Faulkner was talking about it down there, and there was quite a bit of talk about it.
Oof.
Some of these small departments that are now just getting a lot of this stuff hit them, and they haven't had the foresight, and they may go out and they may not have been bringing the young people along, and they're going to be sitting in some pretty dicey situations where they may not be able to get the complement they need, or people might not start signing up because they look at it and say it's too much work. That is a concern, and I mean, I agree with Deputy Mayor Faulkner. I think it's important to have like anything else, we have operators doing anything, water and all that stuff. They have to be qualified. If they do make a mistake, at least they're qualified. It was a mistake made, but at least they knew what they were doing. And human error can happen. But kudos to you guys to be ready for this, and that us council look not too bad because you had the foresight to make us look good.
Yes, sorry, Councillor Elliott.
We were talking about unions earlier, and professional full-time are part of the union. Obviously, we're not part of the union. Is a union helping move this forward? Will we, after this training, will our people be as qualified as a professional full-time firefighter? So if they were offered an opportunity to go in the city to become a professional firefighter, they wouldn't have to go through any more qualifications. They're as qualified.
Correct.
So this double hatter thing going to come into effect?
There's something on that.
Yeah. That's gonna be interesting to see how the courts decide on that, or if a new government will act on that. If the new government would act on that and just put the same legislation that other provinces have to protect the double hatters, it would solve the problem. But everybody's kind of waiting to see what the court ruling is going to come out of Caledon, to see how the court rules on that to allow them to double hat. To answer your question, yeah, there is only one certification in the province for firefighters, volunteer, composite, or full-time, and it's NFPA Firefighter 1 and NFPA Firefighter 2. And it's the same thing. So if our firefighters are certified to Firefighter 1001 Level 2, then that's the same certification that a firefighter in the City of Toronto will have. So,
is it possible that unions moving towards having our volunteers become professional firefighters so that the union will be stronger? To create that atmosphere, none of us can afford that.
Yeah, that is, I think that's one of their main goals. Is obviously they want to create jobs to boost their membership and have a stronger membership for the union, which that's their mandate, and I don't blame them that way. I don't foresee that happening in here because we don't have the population or the need for it. But towns like Orangeville, Caledon, on the fringes of the GTA and places like that, they're the ones that are going to have problems with that, whether they go full time or stay with the volunteer model. There's a lot of costing going out. Owen Sound is another one that's looking at it, and Push Lynch they run a lot of calls. Center Wellington, they run a lot of calls and are having problems. They have a very strong volunteer force, and they keep that up, but they keep growing. And then the demand, you can only ask so much for your volunteers to leave work so many times a week. So there's a lot. Whereas we're growing, but not growing that fast that we're going to be able to sustain that. And again, I appreciate everything that you guys have done to have the foresight to do and let us move forward and be as progressive a department, because I'm a firm believer that because of the progressions we made throughout the organization, that's what helps us keep our firefighters. And we haven't had to recruit for 2 or 3 years because the firefighters enjoy what they do and enjoy being here, and they enjoy the support they get from everybody. And that's a huge thing. If they don't feel supported, it's like being a Lions Club member or Rotary or anybody. If you don't feel supported or enjoy being there, you're not going to be there that long. So that's a huge key aspect of it.
Councillor Turton.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor Faulkner. I offer my congratulations too. I mean, it's really neat to be ahead of the curve. It makes you wonder how the hell you ever put a fire out 10 years ago, 20 years ago. And I'm all for training. I think training is extremely important, but likely the biggest expense will be after July 1st, 2019. That's when all the new guys and gals will be trained, will need the training. So, yeah, it's going to be costly, and it's sad that our unions push that. I understand that we need full-time fire service in the cities, and they don't have any problem getting trained people out of the smaller municipalities to come and work in the cities. And there's all kinds of people lining up. I mean, who would turn down a fire service job in the city? And I'm just not sure if I agree with all this. But we have to move ahead. We're not making the rules. It's expensive. It's nice to be ahead of the curve.
And just to, the point that I forgot to make, and it's out there that I read many reports that you have to send a firefighter to the fire college or somewhere for 8 weeks to get their certification and stuff like that. One of the things that is available and that we're working on is a lot of this training can be done in-house to keep the costs somewhat down. And I agree with you, the costs for training are an unknown. We don't know what it's going to cost come 2019. But a lot of this training can be done in-house by in-house instructors. And then you bring the testing agency from the fire marshal's office in to do the testing. So you do not have to send your firefighters away to college, to the fire college, or to other places if you choose not to, if you have the right expertise in-house to train. And that's where, to Mayor Bridges' point, departments in the far north are going to have problems because their nearest department to work with them might be 50, 60, 100 kilometers away. So they are going to struggle. We're fortunate enough in southwestern Ontario, and this is where some departments struggle, because you have to break down the silos and you have to start working together with your county, your neighbors, and do that type of thing. They might have an expert in pumper operations that can come over and help train your people with that, and you might have an expert in fire prevention that you can send over and train them. So working together is going to be the key to this, to keeping costs down and doing all the training that you need. So that's one thing that we're going to keep working on as a department, is doing as much as we can and borrowing and using resources anywhere we can find them.
Okay. Be a perfect opportunity for the full-time guys to come out and train us.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep. If there's opportunities there. Yep. Yep, for sure.
Anyways, I'm going to cut off discussion on that. I think I'm not sure we'll have any choice but to do what we have to do. So, recommendation is that the council receives the fire chief's report, new Fire Protection and Prevention Act regulations, and supports the department moving forward with implementation. Kind of a mover. Councillor Caldwell, Councillor Turton, all in favor? I declare the motion carried. Okay, now master fire plan.
So this is I'm gonna have to look over my shoulder to help Cleese get fill in the blanks. But as you remember, it's been a year ago, just about a year ago, that we had the master fire plan update written and came to council. Just a review. It was done in-house by the firefighters, with Cleese and company leading it. I had nothing to do with it, and that's why they all say that it's a great document and it works really well, because I stayed out of it. But they did a phenomenal job writing this update and bringing this forward. So instead of doing a usual yearly review where we do call statistics and all that, which we will provide, but this is our update for the year of what we've done in the past year to accomplish where we've been. So we just want to quickly go through the update, each of the clauses that were in the master fire plan, and show you where we are with them. So the first one was compensation to be explored to better reflect the new wage landscape. That's completed. You had the report before. There's a report right after this one to close that one off. So that one is completed. That a change in organization structure be explored as demands in the fire service change. We just talked about all the changes that are coming, and we anticipated that. And you had that organizational structure come to you. We've made necessary changes, and we're in great shape to write out these new changes and go with them the best we can. Various division operations we revamped to become more effective at involving more members. So it's a work in progress, but we had a training officer position in Palmerston open, and we've actually filled it temporarily with 2. training officers, so that because of the new regulations we knew were coming and because the demands can be placed on the training, instead of one person looking after organizing training in the station, we're going to have two people kind of work together and see if they can help, again, make that more manageable for a volunteer person to do that. And we've had more firefighters show interest in those positions. So contrary to the regulations coming in, more firefighters are applying. So we had a temporary captain's position open up in Palmerston and a temporary training officer's position open in Palmerston, and we had 8 different applicants for the 2 positions.
Nice.
So people are keen. They're not scared of the training, and they're like, yeah, I want to do more. I want to help as much as I can, which was really refreshing to see. Next one is a mechanism to update all firefighters on a monthly basis to be established. So this is a lot of Cleese's new role, but agendas and meeting minutes are way more thorough. Materials getting out to all the firefighters and officers a week to a week and a half ahead of time, so they have time to review everything on their own, and then they can come to the meetings and they know they've reviewed policies, they've reviewed what our changes are, and then they can bring great input to the meetings. Whereas before we were kind of like that night, I give them the agenda, and it's not fair, as you as council know, if you got the agenda for the meeting that day, you don't have time to digest it. And so we're trying to get that out, and we are doing a great job of that. And the firefighters are really appreciating that, and we've had a lot more productive meetings and a lot more input. And then the senior management team, we're attending more of the meetings by splitting them up to get out there and talk to everybody and find out what's working and what's not. So it's working very well. An investigation of full dispatch through Guelph was explored. I just talked about that, so you'll have a report in the future coming towards that. But we knew that this was coming. We knew that the reporting regulation was coming, so we're going to keep exploring that. The MFD partnered with Public Works to install generator backup at our paging sites. That's next year's budget, maybe. We'll see what the budget brings next year, but we'll talk about that next year. Culture. Social committee consisting of the association presidents formed a meeting as an added needed basis to increase engagement at firefighter events for the department. So that's more with the associations. The associations do the breakfasts, they do the parades, they do the events like that. So we're just trying to get them talking together more. They're still their own separate entity so that each station has their identity, but just start talking more that if they have fryers and toasters and stuff like that that they all do their breakfast with, they could share that equipment and work more efficiently together. So that's just an internal thing, but it's done a lot to improve morale. That's the key thing to morale is when the social part of it is working well, then the morale in the department's really good. Culture, the newly formed social committee works together to develop family activities for fire departments to build upon the family culture. One of the things we've learned through this master fire plan process and through the past year is we're getting a lot younger as a department. Not me in particular. I'm getting a lot older, but we have a lot of little kids background. So years ago when I was with my dad in the fire hall, there was a ton of kids, and I remember doing a ton of social activities and different things with the kids of the department. And we kind of grew older, and the department grew older, but now we're getting back to the roots, and there's a lot of little kids. So the associations are talking about doing things like that where the kids can get, if the families enjoy being at the fire hall, then they don't mind that their mom or dad's down at the fire hall doing calls and being there a little more often because the kids are there. So for example, our fire fit team goes down and works out at least once a week. And they bring their kids with them, and the kids play and have activities, and they do stuff out like kick a soccer ball or do whatever around in the fire hall bay while their dads are working out as part of the fire fit team. So it helps their health and wellness because they're working out, getting in shape, and the kids are having fun running around and being part of that culture. So it's something that we've learned and we're changing. Next one, that each association establish consistent nomination procedures. Again, that's just an internal thing that's completed, and they're working together to put people into different positions like parade chairs and that can work. Initiatives for spousal engagement be increased. The 3 associations are looking at it. Cleese is looking at it through the PTSD and critical incident stress to have some more courses and some more seminars for them. Just stuff for the department, what to look for post-traumatic stress and stuff like that. But we found that if we engage the spouses, then it again becomes a family atmosphere, and people enjoy being there, and they really appreciate the training because then they know what's going on, and they can relate to it more when the stuff comes home to them. Equipment, capital purchasing plan continue to be followed. So I talked to you about the truck plan. We're going to re-look at it to push some of the trucks off. And we're going to look at some other major items. A major item that's gone up significantly in price as well that we won't need for another 5 to 7 years is the SCBA, the air packs that we on. Preliminary estimates for us to replace all of our SCBAs and bottles would be between $400,000 and $500,000. So we're going to look at that and start forecasting that type of stuff for 6-7 years down the road when we replace them, so that we can be better prepared. So that's what we're looking at. Other major items. Yep.
Sorry, just a question on that. Could they be replaced in stages?
That
you do so many every year?
Before, yes. This time, probably no. The biggest reason is the new regulations for air packs is, so the bottles that we have now are called 30-minute bottles, so they last upwards of 30 minutes. The new regulation is they're 45-minute bottles, so the 45-minute bottle is different than the 30. So you can't put a 30 bottle on a 45-minute air pack. So for health and safety reasons, we probably, when we get to that point, and 6-7 years from now, the regulation could change again. So I don't know, but if it was this day, probably no. We have to replace all the bottles and the air packs at the same time, so that they all are compatible with one another. So that fire prevention partnerships inside and outside the County of Wellington are explored. This is an initiative our pub ed committee is looking at. Cleese is leading that, and they came up with a really cool initiative that's going to be launched on Fire Prevention Week that actually all the departments in the county are working together. It's going to be a puzzle book. Yeah, I haven't been to this, so it's a seniors puzzle book.
Oh, that's really encouraging.
I could yell, but my voice doesn't carry all that well. So it's just a senior safety. We decided this year that we'd focus on seniors, and so we're putting together a word search crossword Sudoku book and distributing it through the VON Senior Center of Excellence, and it's up to the departments to decide how else they distribute it. But the important piece is that every quarter there is a safety checklist that you have to complete. So we've partnered with OPP, EMS, the Wellington Safe Communities Suicide Prevention Council, and we all have different things that we'd like people to complete every season. And if they do so, they can submit it to win safety-related prizes like generators, like we're giving away generators, or I don't even know what else. Yeah, like just big items that you might not be able to purchase that are going to help with safety-related issues. So. And
the libraries are going to be a drop-off, maybe? Maybe. We're working on it. So the pub ed committee, our pub ed committee has led this initiative with the county, and it's I give total credit to them, because you can see I don't know anything about it yet, but they're working on that. So it's going to be not huge, but a cost savings to us, because we're working with all the other municipalities that everybody puts in a little bit, and we get a lot for a big bang for Fire Prevention Week. So really excited about that. 5.2, just the risk assessment we updated. You saw the new regulation. We knew it was coming. We put it in the master fire plan, and we will be using it as a guideline to do that. Pre-planning task force and guideline be established. This is another one that Cleese and Cam are leading, so it's on its way, or it's going?
It's going. So we've identified buildings within Minto that we feel should have a pre-plan, whether it be like a two-station, three-station response, and the firefighters go out into the community, kind of do a size up of the building, fill out a information sheet about all the things that we would want to know in prior to arriving, I guess, on scene. And then I take it and formulate it into a pre-plan, and hopefully at the end of the year we'll have a book of all the different buildings that we feel are kind of hazards within Minto, and so that firefighters can kind of get in the truck, look at the book, and be like, okay, here are where my trucks have to go, here's where my hydrants are, all the information's at their fingertips.
So that committee is actually one of the more popular ones for our firefighters to be on, and they're working really hard and doing a lot of work. Suppression, 6.2, response capabilities are enhanced for certain time periods based on research completed by admin staff. So we're just looking at times. For example, Clifford, during the daytime, we've lost some of our people that work in Clifford, around Clifford during the day. So we're going to look at enhancing that by maybe for certain types of calls, sending to stations automatically. You'll see a policy come back to you for that. But we're looking at that to try and buff that up. We were going to have to do it quicker when Highway 9 was talking about being under construction for the entire summer between Harrison and Clifford, but when that got put on hold, we got a little more time to figure that out. 6.3, the pre-planning be increased in high-risk buildings. Cleese just talked about that. Oops. I guess I let that one out of the way.
Mm.
Health and wellness 7.1. The decontamination procedures be reevaluated, redeveloped, and implemented in accordance to Section 21. This is a big thing, that another task that's come down. It's not regulation, but it's as close to regulation as you can get. That decontamination procedures on the scene are going to be as important as anything. And this all has to do with the amount of cancers that we're seeing in the firefighters. In case anybody doesn't know, we have 3 to 4 claims right now for Minto forward with different cancers through firefighters. So what they're saying is that was historical. What are we doing moving forward to help prevent cancers from occurring in the fire service? And decontamination is one of them. So it's not a huge cost savings or cost right now. We already passed and we implemented the new washing machine last year, which has been huge. The fire we just had on Saturday, we washed 14 sets of gear through Saturday night and Sunday and had everything back Sunday afternoon in the halls drying and ready to go again. So that's a huge help. But just it means, washing stuff on scene with soap and water and keeping things cleaner and putting some more procedures into place, which we're working on. Health and wellness, the PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder, and CISM, critical incident stress management plan, be implemented and further developed. And CLEAS is heading that, and currently has met or is meeting with all of the county departments to write policy that every department in the county will, or most departments in the county will adopt, so that we're all working under the same policy. Is that correct?
Yep.
So that they're in progress. They're working on it together. Again, working collaboratively. That makes it a lot easier on one department because they're all working on the same thing. 7.3, that idea of a firefighter gym cooperative be explored. We'll probably have to get to that. That's one of the things we're going to bump into 2019. But with our FireFit team, which is FireFit, in case you don't know, FireFit is the thing you see on TV where they go up the tower and they do the hose pull and they drag the dummy in that. We have had a small group of people, which is now ballooning into more. They're going to 2 competitions this year. So they've taken it upon themselves to develop their own team, and they're working together to get healthy and get strong and fit, and they're competing in these competitions on their own. So it's a pretty cool thing. So now it's kind of going out that more people are seeing that, and they're saying, well, we'd like to keep working out too. So
we've also implemented workouts at practice.
That's right, yeah. And so on that note, thanks. 1 practice a month. We half the practice, so half the split in half. Then one's doing the skills that we have to train on. The other half is doing an actual workout for an hour, and then they switch. So we're actually doing workouts at practice, and it's going really well. I wasn't sure how that would go over, but it's going really well, and they're really enjoying the workouts. Well, they're enjoying the workouts at the time, kind of. The next day they're a little stiff and sore, and I don't know how much they're enjoying it, but it's going really, really well.
Substitute more often.
Yeah, that's right.
So we have to design one for the council.
Yeah. Well, I have some trainers that could come in and help you guys out. There's no problem there.
I got a broken rib right now, so I can't.
We'll invite you out to a practice to work with it.
There's modifiers.
Yeah, that's right.
The modified one. Oh, good.
IT 8.1, that use of technology in the fire trucks and the fire halls be reevaluated. That's another one that we're going to bump to 2019. We just push that back. We don't want to change too much at the time. 8.2, the standard operating guideline for documentation and record keeping. That's again under Cleese's purview, and she's trying to get our guidelines and our record keeping up to date. A lot to do with the training the new training regulation states you have to have solid training records that are organized and ready to be out. If audited, you have to be able to produce them. So that's one thing that we're really working on, is to get them up to snuff. The MFD care structure and organization be established. That is still with the lawyers right now, but hopefully once they get the incorporation done, the MFD Cares Foundation will be implemented, which you had passed a couple years ago, maybe a year and a half ago, and we're still working on the incorporation of that. Smoke alarm program targeting.
Remind us what that is.
What's that?
Can you just remind us what that is?
So it's like kind of like the hospital foundation, only we're starting the MFD Cares Foundation. So the money from Touch a Truck and the run and other donations that I'm escaping me right now would go into the foundation, which we had talked about and you guys passed. So they'd form that, and then that foundation would disperse the money into donations and buying certain equipment and make donations to the family health team and working with different things. So, smoke alarm targeting seniors. That's the book that Cleese just talked about that we took, and the county is actually doing that together. The public education portfolio will be rejuvenated. This whole work is really rejuvenated and it's working really well. Current training programs in relation to the succession strategy will be reevaluated. So we've got the acting training officers in Palmerston. There's a lot of new ideas flowing from the firefighters on training initiatives, which we're trying to implement and keep going. That's pretty exciting. Leadership program for the firefighters to help them advance up the ranks. That's going to be pushed to 2019. Building a training center will be explored. So they formed their own committee internally with the firefighters, and they're actually looking at it themselves and coming up with ways that they could build a training center out of using what's called sea cans, or those train car cans, and using those, and then ways that they can fundraise to help pay for it and do that kind of thing. So they're looking at it internally at themselves, and they'll come forward once they get to the point. They'll come forward with a plan and update you on that. But they're just preliminarily looking at it right now. Number 3 station practices increase. We've done that. We've got 2 this year, looking at adding a 3rd. Designated training weekends with multiple topics to be explored. That's going to be pushed to the future, 2019 or further. Simply, one of the things we're finding hard is we just don't have enough weekends available. We've got too many events on weekends now. Increased support for training officers. That's redundant, but we're increasing it to 2 training officers as a trial for 6 months to see how that goes. And then other initiatives that didn't make the master fire plan but are there. We have a career guide that we give to each firefighter. So it says if you would like to become an officer, a captain, this is what you need to do. We need to update that now that the new standards are in place to say if you want to become this is the courses you have to be certified in. So it's actually one of the better documents that we've ever made, and they really enjoyed that because they could just flip open and say, okay, I want to do this. These are the courses I have to take. We just need to update it with the new NFPA guidelines. Job descriptions, we're working at them. It's been quite a few years since we've done that, so we just want to have job descriptions updated so that everybody knows what's going on. We're at the investigation point for renovation of the Clifford Station. Part of the decontamination, one of the things they need to do when they come back to fire hall is they're supposed to shower to get clean, so they're not taking contaminants home with them. We don't have showers in the Clifford Fire Hall, so that's one of the things. Plus, we need to get proper washrooms in there. So we're looking at doing that, and that'll come back to the next council for a report once we get to that point. Emergency management, working on a scribe plan for large incidents and the communications plans. Both things came out of the flood that we learned. When we take the lead on that, we need to help people that are doing scribing to come up with a master plan for that, so that we can have scribes in the field. We can have people helping in here, the field, and everywhere documenting the incidents better, so that we have that to go back on. And then a communication plan and templates for the media. Critical incident stress. We talked about that, but this has come huge and it's getting bigger and bigger. So that wasn't in the master fire plan per se. It was under health and wellness, but it's gotten bigger than sort of its own topic. Recruitment, we are going to be undertaking a recruitment in the fall due to people moving away and different various reasons. So we're probably going to be hiring 10 to 12 in the fall. So it's going to take a lot to get ready that and get all of the books and everything ready for them so that they know what's expected of them and that. But we do have a large amount of resumes on file.
Oh yeah, there's probably like 30 for Palmerston, 25 for Clifford, and don't know how many for Harrison, 10.
So we have a lot of that, and we're going to be putting the word out to get more. So we're very excited that way. We're going to review all our standard operating guidelines because they will change because of the new regulations. Honor Guard, we have the equipment. We just got to get everybody trained, and it's just trying to find time to get that done, but it's there. We want to get that done. Our goal is to have it ready for Remembrance Day this year. But it's just getting that done. And Taker Shuttle accreditation, we need to renew that and get that completed. And we're going to keep doing with our station branding and revamping. So information rooms, some more branding to make sure that our crests and that are there and all that kind of stuff. So that's just a quick rundown of year in review. But the year in review is what we've done with our master fire plan, which is our guiding document. As you can see, a lot of the reports that come out of the master fire plan.
Okay, thank you, Chief. And would somebody make a motion that we accept the master fire plan update?
just make the comment.
Okay.
I just want to congratulate both Cleese and Chris on this master fire plan, and just remind everybody we did this internally, and that's a big
Big time.
savings.
Yep.
To hiring a consultant and having this done. And I just think it's a wonderful job that you're doing, not only coming up with it in the first place, but maintaining it and updating it. But I just want to offer my kudos. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, I'm moving.
Moved by Mayor Bridge, seconder, Councillor Turton. All in favor? I declare the motion carried. Thank you, Chief. And now the last one is incident pay review.
Yep, so this is just a follow-up report from the last wage report. I'll be very quick because you're sick of hearing from me. This is a follow-up to the last one. We reviewed the incident pay, and our incident pay is right on par, is good with compared to other departments. So our recommendation is that we do not need to do it. Just stay with the wage policy that was presented earlier, and no other changes need to be made.
So any comments? Well, can I do the recommendation first? The council receives the report follow-up rate of pay firefighters. That should be the town of Minto in there. Dated May the 30th, 2018.
My
So
fingers
moved
got sick of
Councillor
typing
Elliott.
by that point, I think.
Yeah. Writer's cramp. Seconder, Councillor Dirksen, all in favor? I declare the motion carried.
Thank you for all of your time. I appreciate that.
Thank you, Chief.
Saw you're running out of wind. So.
My throat's sore.
Thanks, Cleese, too. Turn it back over to Mayor Bridge.
I'll turn it over to Councillor Caldwell. Oh no, sorry. No,
On the agenda.
I'm moving right through there. Yeah.
Gordon, I get a
Sorry. Yeah, Triton. That'd be Bill. Sorry. I still got it. We're still on me.
Thank you, Mayor Bridge. These topics aren't as hot as the fire departments, but
No.
Jeez.
They're kind of hot.
yeah, I've been hours. Mayor Bridge, the first item is the Ann Street tender. You can see it has come in substantially over budget. The project involved curbing, drainage work, and paving of 2 blocks. We tendered all 4 blocks at once because in the past we've been able to get really good pricing, and you may recall one of the servicing ones we did all the blocks at once instead of just 2. So, but not this time. I think there's just a function of the amount of work out there right now, and we have 1 bid. It's significantly over budget. Triton's outlined 3 options. First is to proceed with the tender. There are some works that aren't going ahead that we might be able to find that could move over toward this project. We could retender in August and try and start it in the fall, or wait until next year, tender later in the year, and have them start in spring with the hope of getting better pricing. Just a word, I know the residents are getting frustrated on Ann Street. It's aggravated with the detour work, and people on the detour sometimes want to cut through, so they see the gravel road and down they go, and that's put more dust and more stress into the community. So it was really disappointing that we couldn't get good pricing, and that's no reflection on the company who's doing good work for us in other areas now. It's just with 1 bid. I'm suggest you retender. I think the question is whether you retender in August for fall, or retender in the fall for a spring start. So that's our recommendation, is to retender.
Can I just ask, if we do it in the fall and we get another high price, we could just do it again next year, right?
Yes.
Like the tender is not a huge workload, is it, or is it?
Well, it's pretty much ready.
Yeah, that's what I was going to
yeah,
say.
we do
Yeah.
it.
Okay.
And it may, if I may, through Mayor Bridge, it may be a timing thing for the contractor too, that there's some time in the fall they would have to, they could fit something in later on, even if we could get the curbs and the drainage in, but not at this price. We can't recommend it at this point. It's just an option to retender, I think.
Okay. Did you?
No, I guess I'm yeah. As far as the dust goes, are we able to do some dust suppression up there this summer?
If I may, through you, Mayor Bridge, we have been and will do that. We all know that there's lots of construction going on properties in Ann Street. So the challenge is getting everybody off the street so we can grade it and put the calcium on. So we had a number of complaints in Monday, quite excited individuals, and so we are trying to get the contractors off this week, and hopefully Wednesday, Thursday, or Friday at the latest, we will grade and calcium it again, and then we're going to put some signage up. But if everybody keeps using it as a shortcut, that makes the road deteriorate quicker. So
we can.
We're working
local
hard.
traffic only.
Yeah, and we're going to
or-
try to put a local traffic sign up.
Yes.
Honest to goodness,
It's already done, I'm hearing. So.
Oh, okay. Good.
I can't believe that people would take a gravel road off a paved road to try to be a shortcut for maybe beat 2 cars. And I'm talking at Ann Street, and I understand why people are frustrated. I drove it the other day.
Yeah, it's
because of
pretty
all
rough.
the work that's going on it all the time. It's always rough. Like, you can't go down it very fast. So you're not beating anybody, because I have no idea why they would do it. But
I went through the detour 2 times this weekend. No trouble whatsoever.
no, but I'm just saying, why would they go down Ann Street? Like,
Yeah,
that makes
I
no
know.
sense, right?
Just because they think they have a better idea.
I guess they do. Yeah. So I think there's signs, putting the local signs up, and that'll be help a bit. And we'll, as Bill said, we'll try to get some dust done. I'm with sort of Mary Lou on this. I think that Councillor Caldwell, I think we should maybe try to tender it again in the fall, just to see if we get a decent price. If not, worst case scenario, we book it into the next year. But at least they know that we're trying to work on it. Like the people there.
Yep,
I agree. Did you have a question?
No, just thank you, Mayor Bridge. I'm just wondering what Steed and Evans think about this. I know we're not committed, but
Well, I think
I'm in agreement that we wait and retender in August. Sure. So.
If I may, Mayor Bridge, I haven't spoke to them directly. I mean, they've done excellent work. Our paving already this year is done, so we're in a lot of places. So last year, it was a different situation, and they did phase 1. So I don't want to speak for them, but sometimes they just put in bids, put a bid in, and keep everybody honest. And so I'm not so sure that they maybe didn't anticipate somebody else that might come in lower, whatever. But I know they're busy, so.
I don't think they'll miss the job.
Yeah.
No, I think that kind of a bid to me represents something that we'll
on.
throw it in there, but like we really don't have time to do it anyways.
That's
That
right.
type of bid,
That's
we're
exactly
getting
right.
take it on. Yep, need a motion. Moving Councilor Turton, second by Deputy Mayor Faulkner, all in favor?
So once
Oh,
again,
sorry, the motion is
that we-
Yeah, sorry, let me
Oh,
read
Number 2.
let me read the motion here.
Number 2,
The recommendation. Number 2, right?
2 and 3, right?
Well, Mayor Bridge, I think it was the
Start to-
recommendation changing it from 2019 to the fall.
Yeah, that's what so the recommendation would be that we
retender the work. in
retender the work
August.
for the fall.
In the fall.
Yeah.
That doesn't work.
That didn't work, we'll do it in 2019. Okay, all in favor of that?
Mhm.
I'm supposed to be making these recommendations. I forgot about that. Now, you're supposed to be reminding
Your
me,
audience.
The audience doesn't know what we're talking about, I was told. And they're right. You're right. I was totally right. Strategic planning.
Thank you, Mayor Bridge. In 2015, we had a public meeting on the strategic plan, and was one person, as I recall, in attendance, but nobody spoke. It's not the juiciest issue in the world most of the time, but some work has been done at the Economic Development Committee and also in the Recreation Committee, suggesting some updates to the plan. We've taken the liberty of putting those directions into actual wording changes. I've recommended to you that we hold a public meeting in 2 weeks. I took the liberty of, after confirming with the mayor, of putting some notices in the paper that we would be having a public meeting at the next council meeting. So you should see those come out, and we'll use social media to try and get people out there. But basically, we're just sort of right-sizing, tweaking the strategic plan a little bit based on the committee work on some other little things that had come forward. But the major change is that the plan talked about having a comprehensive public review of the plan every 5 years. Well, that put us coincidentally into 2018, and we have an election in October. It really was felt that why not have the new council do that? It's a perfect opportunity for the new council to go through it, to get some information on it, and if they want to steer things in different directions, they can work with the public and the user groups to steer things in different directions. So the change to section 13, 0.6 would require the new council to review the plan, and every new council in the future. So we don't have a situation where this council, a few months before election, is doing a comprehensive review of the plan, and then a new group of people comes in and wants to make changes. So there's various sections we've recommended changes to. I'd be happy to answer questions to them. I don't think there is anything new in there. I think it's just making clear some of the directions we're taking and twigging out some things that we really weren't focusing on anyway. So our recommendation is that council receive the CAO clerk's report and that a public meeting be scheduled June 19th regarding specific amendments to various sections in the plan as outlined in the report, and that following any amendments being adopted, July 3rd, the amended strategic plan be referred to the next council for comprehensive review. I did it for you.
Thank you. Yeah, you did really well. Questions? Really?
No.
You moving it? Very good. Caldwell and Erickson, all in favor? Go up, Bill.
Thank you, Mayor Bridge. I'm sure you missed all my reports last council meeting. I did want to commend you on, well, I did watch the video and you did an excellent job. Particularly the public works
it was
group
really
did
quick
a nice
too,
presentation. So they're not near as wordy as some people like the fire chief. Amendments to the town sign bylaw. We talk about the sign bylaw being now 17 years old. We don't have a huge issue with signs in Minto, but there's two areas we're asking you to address right now. One is political signs, and two is projecting signs. Projecting signs are the ones that overhang road allowances, and we had heard from Roger Brooks and others that our rules are a little too strict. So we're lightening them up a little bit to allow them to project over streets. We're taking out the requirements for security bonds and so forth, which frankly were not being collected and I don't think are necessary in a situation like this. So the other thing relates to political signs, and it's just making our municipal election signs consistent with the county rules that are currently in place, which is that they can't go on county roads till 6 weeks before the election. And so on Minto roads and on private property, election signs for the municipal election will be allowed to go up 6 weeks prior. This is the same with the federal and the provincial elections as well. So I think it's consistency, it's clarity, and if you choose to adopt these changes, we will make sure the candidates who have already filed will receive notice of this.
Questions?
Thank you. I had a couple of questions. The projecting signs, do they have to be lit, or is it just a suggestion that they be lit?
If I may, Mayor Bridge, through you, they don't have to be lit. The intent would be that if they are lit, it would be from a exterior fixture rather than interior lit projecting signs. So,
oh, I see. Okay.
So the gooseneck lights would be like the one in the picture would be used to light it rather than having it like a fascia sign has internal lights.
Yeah, and just to add to that, I think, unless Linda wants to comment, but one of the things that would be consistent then with our sign where we have sign grants, because otherwise we can't have illuminated ones for grant signs. So if you put one of those ones that have illuminated behind them, you have to be a thing. So I think that's sort of the idea, to keep it from in that consistency basis. So if somebody wants to put a new sign up like that, that they would probably get a grant to do it.
Right. Okay. And have a second question?
Yep. Second. Yep.
Also on the projection signs, or projecting signs, I guess. So this is a larger size now that we're allowing. Is there? I guess I'm just thinking they're going to catch the wind a lot more. Like, how do we know that they're securely fastened to the wall?
Right. The actual area of the signs is potentially smaller than what was actually allowed. The rules used to be the same for a fascia sign, which was 20% of the area of the face of a building. So now we've made it slightly less in size, so you shouldn't see huge ones, but they are allowed to project further out into the street. So the sign area is now restricted to the lesser of 20%, or to a lower amount than actually could have occurred. No one ever put one up that big, but we are allowing them to move out in the street. And so your question about the engineering of that, they would need a permit. So the chief building official would make sure that there's appropriate engineering for it.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Can I ask Linda a question on that as well? Maybe follow up to what Councillor Dixon was talking about. When we did this, and I meant to ask you before, are they close to what Roger Brooks would have recommended?
Yes, that's exactly
Yeah,
what
that's
he
what I thought.
recommended.
So that's basically the way these signs are sized, and that would be similar to what other towns and.
Yeah, I think the only difference was he had said 7 feet off the ground, and we needed to go 8 feet because of snow equipment. But
right,
that's the only difference.
Good. Okay, so that was my concern, because I thought all that expertise we had, we might as well use it.
Exactly.
Okay. Anybody else? I just want to comment on the political signs. I think it makes sense to be consistent with everybody else, and less concerned with anybody doing something that by accident they might be outside of the rules and somebody call them on or whatever. So I think getting it back to everybody else, what everybody else is doing, is a good idea.
What is the date then that they can go up?
And that would be Annalene. What?
September 10th.
September 10th.
Mayor Bridge, did you want to read the recommendation?
Sure, I can. I can do that. Council, you did the other one very nicely, though.
Thank you.
I'll do this one, though, Bill. You're overworked.
I am.
The council receives the CEO's clerk's May 10th, 2018 report amendments to the town sign bylaw and considers bylaw in regular session to amend bylaw number 200165 sign bylaw as outlined in the report. Moving a seconder, Councillor Elliott, Councillor Turton, all in favor? That was all right. Good. Do we not have any treasures? No, we have.
No, we had nothing.
What the heck? Well, that's what messed me up, because I was next. There's always treasures.
No money.
I don't know. That's a first.
Maybe we don't have any.
There was no one.
I signed them today. Too late though. You couldn't get the report done in time. Okay. Well, that's it for that then. Other businesses disclosed, and I will start off with, I believe, Judy, you had one, right?
A few, actually.
Two.
I said a few.
A few. Okay. Well, let's see if you can handle any of mine. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so just wanted to mention that the Trails and Scavenger Hunt launch and opening was on Saturday. So we had a very busy day on Saturday with half of you people away, but we managed it. And this scavenger hunt and our trails are looking great, and it's just another reason to be in Minto and to visit in Minto and to enjoy Minto.
Thank you very much.
If Jean was here, she would be telling you that the Garden Festival was a success. There was a great crowd. It was a very cool day, but it was a really good day to buy plants and get them planted because they didn't wilt. And then on Thursday, May 31st, there was a safety day at a farm in Arthur Township, and the Wellington Farm and Home Safety Association was there. We had 2 stations. I was a little hoarse by the end of the day. We talked to over 200 students from our parochial schools here in Minto Township and also in Arthur Township.
Good.
And there's another one coming up this week on Thursday to see another couple hundred children and from the parochial schools in the area.
Just an add on to your garden festival. I can't find it here, but I did get a note from Linda Campbell thanking all the people that were there and the
good.
The council was there, and that they had a very successful day, and also thanking the staff. Having the grass cut looked good. The pavilion was sparkling. It was well cleaned and everything else, and they were very, very impressed.
It's good.
She wanted me to pass that on to the council and to the staff. So I think very successful. I haven't heard the final totes, but I think they did really well. Okay, next up, is that all, Jim?
That's all.
Well, thanks very much for doing the opening of the trail fund.
Hey, hey,
Oh, for you.
hey,
For you. I heard for you.
yes,
And me.
yes.
And me.
And everybody. Yeah, right. Okay, so don't get picky. Ron.
Yes. Farmers market opened up, 9 vendors.
Yes.
Good to see everybody back again. They expect more vendors the next week. They said it was a cool day to start. I think there was a pretty good crowd. They didn't see me much at 9 in the morning, but they gradually moved through, and I think they're happy to be open again. And speaking about the farmers market, on June 23rd, we will be having a farmers market that day, along with several other events at Palmerston. There's the 9-1 races, which that lady over there coordinates. Do you want to make any comment on it? The money's going to what?
Family health team, Heart.
Hmm.
Register $45 to enter and get a backpack, t-shirt. You can register either on our website or through their website.
Yes, I'll be going in it, but I won't be racing. Brisk walk. Brisk walk. So that's also at 9 in the morning, I believe. And then right to that, we go to the handcar races at 1 o'clock. And how many teams? Linda, you know anything?
How many teams are registered?
Yeah, you got any idea yet? 4 already.
That's always slow until.
So that's, if you got any details that you want to bring forward on that. Okay. You sure? Starts at 1 again.
Yeah, we're just looking for
23rd.
teams, and it's $100 for a team, or you can get the Party in the Park passes included for $150. You save $50 if you get the package. And we're looking for men's, mixed, and ladies teams, as well as celebrity teams. You need 5 people for a team, and you can register online. That's it.
And then right after that, it's Party in the Park again, and we got 2 good bands that people really enjoy with classic rock music, and we're really looking forward to again. We usually get a really good crowd for that. And I expected this whole day to act as a festival. We're looking something that we've wanted for a long time, not just to have the dance at the end of the evening, but to have the whole package for it. And what did we say? It was the 3 R's. Yeah, run, ride, and rock. So
Okay. 3 hours.
look
Right.
forward to it.
Good.
June 23rd.
There you go.
If I can just add to that, that's Palmerston Farmers Market that day is going to have their strawberry social too. So
Oh, that's right. Yep.
I just happen to know.
Boy, it's going to be
Right.
a busy day.
David.
Thank you, Mayor Bridge. I just wanted to talk about the Canada Packers reunion. Everybody knows when it is. 9 weeks from this weekend. In fact, 9 weeks from Thursday is the Mayor's golf tournament. The one item that we're really trying to, well, we're trying to push the whole thing, but it starts at the Mayor's tournament. Then Friday night's the Kinsman barbecue, and Kinsman basically are raising money for the pool. So that's likely a good one to support. And then on Saturday is the all-day event in downtown Hairston. And then Sunday morning is the Historical Society breakfast. So please come out and support it.
Great.
Thank you.
Ron?
Okay, I have a couple as well. First of all, thank you, Judy, for standing in for me on the. Yeah, you did. on Saturday. I understand we watched the video and the live video, and it was really good. Yeah, you haven't seen it. Eh? It was good. And also, I want to add thank you to Quinn, also who did a lot of work for that day on behalf of the trails. Really sorry I missed it actually. I just want to comment on being at the FCM this past weekend. That's probably going to be my last conference, and it almost made me think, jeebers, I wished I hadn't said I wasn't going to run again, because there was so many issues nationwide that were dear to my heart. Mental health, fire, volunteer fire. There was so many. It was just an amazing information gathering conference this year. And you were busy all day long and missed half the stuff you wanted to go to.
A lot of stuff.
It was a ton of stuff. And so just want to thank, first of all, the council the opportunity of going to that because it was really quite special. And basically, I think that's it. Thank you.
I just have one. Just if you're marking your calendar, July the 12th is the Chamber of Commerce annual barbecue
Oh, yes.
from 6 to 9 at the Palmerston Park Pavilion.
Oh, we're not going to Johnny's.
And if it rains, it will be at the CNRA building.
At Palmerston where?
At the Park Pavilion.
6 to 9.
6 to 9 on July the 12th.
Yep.
Right. Anything else? You good?
No. Good.
All right. I have one thing. When I was down at FCM, you got your little cards in front of you here.
Mm-hmm.
Really interesting, and I had the pleasure of going down to Guelph. I think it was Monday or Tuesday of the week just before we went to Monday, because we went. We left on Wednesday, so it was the Monday because the warden was away already. He had gone down to FCM, so I got down there and we were at a video with Minister Soe, who is in charge of this program. And I don't know if you're aware, but Wellington County and Guelph had put in for the Smart Cities Challenge. The Smart Cities Challenge, there's 20 people going to the next round. 10 are over 500,000, up to the Torontos of the world, and there's 10 that are going from the 500,000 below. And we were in the 500 below. So just on here it says, imagine a food system where there's no such thing as waste, where every citizen has access to healthy, nutritious food they need. Imagine a living lab that promotes collaboration between food entrepreneurs, farmers, researchers, and social innovators, and a rural-urban partnership that leverages smart technology to make it all possible. A global transformation has begun. The Guelph Wellington aims to lead the way. Help us create the food community of the future. And then you've got on the back, and this is just the start. And we're working in partnership with the University of Guelph and Conestoga College on this as well. And so we were awarded $250,000 to move forward on this project, and that was announced by Prime Minister Trudeau at the thing. So I saw a quick picture of myself. Did you see it?
Yeah.
There it was. And unfortunately, the mayor of Guelph, they started at this side, and he didn't get his picture in the thing, and I got mine. But Cam wasn't too happy about that, but that's all right. And we're excited going forward on this. So if we happen to win, first prize is $5 million for the project, and there's a second prize of $2 million, and then two $1 million prizes. So we're in against 10 other groups across Canada. We're the only one in our bracket in Ontario, so it's a big feather in everybody's cap. And the fact that it's come a long way with Guelph and ourselves working together in a project to this size, because a few years back, Pat would know this, Guelph and Wellington never got along too well. But the last few years, it's been getting a lot better. And this is another opportunity to work with some good partners. University of Guelph is an amazing partnership too. They do a lot of stuff, and this is just ideal. So as we go forward with this and we get more information, I'll let you know what's happening with it, and I'll be your go-to. Yes, Linda.
Just another event
Yes.
Exciting. Quality Homes, Harrison Heights groundbreaking ceremony
Yes.
is going to be on June 19th at
Ooh.
4 p.m.
Oh,
So
You're sure?
Yeah, it got.
We just got that email.
Yes, it was changed. So
Yeah.
I
Are
just
you
wanted to
sure?
make sure.
Yeah, unfortunately, I couldn't be there during the day because
Oh.
I've got county council stuff.
June 19th at 4 o'clock.
4 o'clock.
Yeah.
At the at the site.
At the site, groundbreaking ceremony.
And the only other thing I had was hand cars, and we know we have to put a team in from the. And I've got a little bit of a problem. I'm not sure I will do hand cars because of my crapped rib, but if I tape myself up, maybe I can do it. But we need a team, so I'm looking to the crew here. We need a team. If you can't be on the team of cheerleaders,
I'll cheerlead.
and whatnot, but we need to get in that celebrity one, and I'm hopefully we've challenged a few other people. Hopefully somebody can do it.
June 19th, 4 p.m.
Okay. And the only other thing it would be FCM, and I reiterate what Ron said. It was a great event. There was 2,100 delegates, 3,500 participants with spouses and partners, and 180 or something like that on the trade show. And I sat down for a lobster dinner, country style, 2,500 people.
They served
a country
2
style.
tons of lobster.
Oh my goodness.
2 tons.
Yeah.
Could you?
Yeah.
Yeah, I just asked because Prime Minister Trudeau's speech was on the news.
Yep.
And you did have an interruption with the whistle?
Yes,
Was that on,
and that was she was protesting the Kinder Morgan.
Okay.
Yeah.
I wondered
Yep.
if that's what it was.
Yep,
Kinder
that's what
Morgan.
she.
I think the best pipe.
Really well handled, by the way.
It was. He handled it very well.
And no, his security staff handled.
Yeah, but he also,
Awesome.
he said someone wants to be heard. He didn't.
And in that, like, as far as we had all 4 leaders all spoke. Andrew Scheer was there. He did well, and Singh from the NDP.
Yep.
And I think, but the best pipeline story was Elizabeth May on Sunday.
U.S.
When she said she's nothing against pipelines. In fact, she would like to see pipelines that would send beer through the province. Possibly that would be good. And her other comment that was great, she said, unfortunately, we have the group, the G7 coming to visit us. It used to be the G8. We got rid of Russia. Maybe it's time to get rid of the United States. That was the other comment she made. Maybe we don't disinvite Trudeau, or Trump, I mean.
So, she got a great.
Yeah. So it was a great event, and thanks that I was able to be
I
there.
think they're already calling it the G6+1.
Yeah, yeah. It was going to be interesting to see what happens.
Oh, he's not going to come. He won't be.
Moved by Councilor Turton, seconded by Deputy Mayor Faulkner, that the Committee of the Whole convenes in the regular council meeting. All in favor? Good. So, moved by Councilor Caldwell, seconded by Councilor Dirksen, that the Council of the Town of Minto ratifies the motion made in the Committee of the Whole thing. All in favor? Moved by Councilor Elliott, second by Councilor Turton, that the bylaw number 2018-40 for the purpose of amending bylaw 0165 regarding political signs and projecting signs be introduced, read first, second, and third time, and passed over the council seal of the corporation. All in favor? Moved by Deputy Mayor Faulkner, second by Councilor Elliott, the bylaw number 2018-41 to authorize the sale of industrial lands on Noble Family Road, Palmerston Industrial Park to Metzger's Heating Inc. be introduced, read first, second, and third time, and passed over council seal of the corporation. All in favor? Getting tongue twisted there.
It's that line.
I know. Moved by Councilor Dirksen, second by Councilor Turton, that bylaw number 2018-42 to confirm the action of the Council of the Corporation of Town of Minto respecting a meeting held June 5th, 2018, be introduced and read first, second, and third time, and passed over council and seal of the corporation. All in favor?
On your phone.
I'd see that.
What was that?
I was looking at my cell phone.
What? Moved by Councilor Caldwell, second by Councilor Dirksen, to the Council of the Town of Minto adjourns to meet again at the call of the mayor. All in favor? Thank you. Thanks for a good meeting, everybody.